Hello and welcome to the lecture on proton NMR spectroscopy. We have already said few things about the principles, but just to tell you in short, the principle of proton NMR spectroscopy, or for that matter any NMR spectroscopy, is the absorption of radio frequency photon promotes nuclear spin from ground state to excited state. Now, here you can see that the spinning nucleus is there. So, the nucleus, which is charged particle under the influence of external magnetic field, this will spin and it creates its own magnetic field. Now, under the influence of high magnetic field, it will have two orientations according to the formula twice I plus 1, where I is equal to half for proton. So, there will be two orientation. Now, two orientation, one is aligning parallel to the applied magnetic field, the other one is anti-parallel, and you can even show the nuclear spin states if you want. Then these energies are possible under only the influence of external magnetic field. Now, here we can see this happens under the influence of external magnetic field, that is 14 Tesla or 14,000 Gauss. The energies of states arise from the interaction of magnetic dipole and external magnetic field. Now, magnetic dipole is a property of a nucleus, and that is possible only when I is greater than 0. For I is equal to 0, there won't be any magnetic moment, and those nuclei are going to be not useful for structure determination, because they are not going to show any resonance phenomenon. Now, these are some examples, like one more thing, external magnet, this excitation of transitions between these states is stimulated using radio frequency electromagnetic radiation. Like some energy is required for this kind of transition from lower spin state to higher spin state. So, this is also quantized. You can even put is equal to h nu. This is quantized, and that radio frequency is going to be sufficient to bring about this kind of nuclear spin transitions. According to Boltzmann distribution, there will be little excess of spin states in lower energy state than higher, but even that is sufficient, because we are using advanced instruments. So, even that small energy which is absorbed during the excitation is detected by the Fourier transform or continuous wave spectrum. Now, since the charged particle has its own magnetic field, or even proton is not isolated, it is the part of the molecule, it is having so many electronic factors working upon it. So, those things, the secondary magnetic field which is induced or which is produced by the spinning nucleus may oppose or may align parallel to the applied magnetic field. Accordingly, the nucleus may experience different field. So, this is H effective, the field which is experienced by nucleus is given by this formula 1 minus sigma H 0. H 0 is applied magnetic field, sigma is shielding constant, or we can call it as screening constant also, and hence the H effective won't be equal to H 0, it will be slightly less or slightly more, it depends upon the situation. Then one more thing we have said, chemical shift. Now, this is the number which tells you whether the protons are shielded or deshielded, up field or low field, and so on. And for that we use internal standard, that is TMS. The properties of TMS, all 12 methyl protons will absorb at very high field as compared to other aromatic compounds. So, TMS is used as a internal standard. So, TMS, it has got high volatility, low boiling point, it mixes with all organic solvents. So, TMS is used as an internal standard. This is tetramethyl silane or TMS, it is abbreviated as. So, this is going to be the, and then 10 or sometimes 12 also. So, this region is known as offset protons, offset region or offset protons. So, protons like COH appears in this region. Then we have also said that the spinning nucleus may have the this is z axis, then let me put it little straight, and then this is the angle x y something. So, this motion is precessional motion, and this is the axis of spinning nucleus of this. Now, this is the angle, we often call it as precessional frequency or precessional angle, and then this resembles the motion of top, or you can think of pinwheel also. So, that is around the axis, they rotate, they spin, and then once the energy is lost, they will go to the original state. So, this also we have drawn this, and all this theory part nobody is going to ask you. Remember, the important thing is the application part. As far as organic chemistry class is concerned, the application part, the interpretation part is going to be more important for us. Now, the before going to the characteristic table of chemical shift, let us see the factors affecting delta. Inductive, first one, then anisotropy, hydrogen bonding, these are main factors. For inductive, let us take the example of these three compounds, wherein we are talking about methyl protons, CH3I, CH3Cl, CH3F. All these three halogens are going to exert minus I effect, and if you look at this, the chemical shift values are like this: 2.2, 3.3, 4.3. So, inductive effect would be maximum in case of fluorine, and that is there. So, inductive effect can influence the chemical shift value because it exerts minus I effect, like these halogens exert minus I effect. So, they pull electrons in this direction. Okay. Anisotropy, there are quite a few examples. Let me put the example of alkenes. This olefin, now this central region creates its own region. Now this is shielding region. This is the direction of applied magnetic field, and these are de-shielded because they won't enjoy the influence of secondary magnetic field. Secondary magnetic field is confined to carbons, and this will appear around 5.2 delta, which is quite downfield, because in that thing we have said that if I am going this way, it is upfield shift or shielding. If I am going this way, it is de-shielding and downfield shift. So, upfield shift means shift towards small delta value, and more delta means those are de-shielded. So, 5.2 is de-shielded one. Another example, so the aldehydic proton, here also this hydrogen is de-shielded. And this will appear around 9 to 10 delta. So, even in carbonyl compounds this kind of situation is there. Another example wherein we have aromatic protons. Now, here also the pi electron circulation is 0. This is shielding region, and these protons are de-shielded, de-shielding. So, even in this example also you can find the number is high, that means the protons are de-shielded. Another example in this regard is acetylenic proton. They are shielded because this is the direction of electrons, and this central region, this region is shielded. So, this proton appears around 2.5 delta, unlike olefinic proton. So, this is shielding, and the acetylenic protons, they appear around 2.5 delta. So, these are the examples of anisotropy. Then hydrogen bonding. Now, hydrogen bonding can influence the NMR. So, I am just showing the hydrogen bonding between two water molecules. Now, this kind of interaction will weaken this bond, and then hydrogen will be more electron deficient, and because of that you will find the signal as broad signal. But more important thing is the detection of hydrogen bond is also possible in NMR, because when you talk about any alcohol or amine or thiol, now this deuterium and hydrogen. Now, initially if it is alcohol, it will be 5.5 delta, and once deuterium exchange take place, you will get OD. Now deuterium is different nucleus, it will not resonate at 60 megahertz or whatever frequency of instrument we are operating in. This will be different nucleus. So this 5.5 peak will vanish upon deuterium exchange. So this is known as exchangeable proton, which can exchange with deuterium, and this 5.5 peak will vanish. That is the proof for OH proton. The same is applicable to NH and SH proton. One more thing is the protons of aniline. Okay. Now all these protons, I will just draw it little nicely. All these protons which are these protons will have shift around -3 delta, which is very high, and this will have frequency around 9.3 delta, the resonating frequency or chemical shift. So anilines are exception because these protons are quite shielded and they go beyond TMS. After this, we have to look at some basics. Now the important part, that is interpretation of NMR. Spectrum, like how we are to interpret the spectrum and derive the information. For that, few important things I am telling. I don't have any write up, but still I will tell. Equivalent protons do not couple. Protons do not couple. Second, area under peak. Coupling constant. G hertz. Okay. Equivalent protons do not couple. I will put the simpler examples here, not the complex examples. For example, ethane molecule, these two methyls are chemically equivalent, so they are identical. And in proton NMR, we will get peak singlet because all protons are chemically equivalent. They are part of the saturated hydrocarbon, So 0.9 delta is the most probable region. Now area under peak. Now this is important. For that, let me take a second example, CH3 CH2 OH, let us say. CH3 CH2 OH 3 2 1. So that is the integration. The area under this peak is, let us say, 3 millimeter, this is 2 and this is 1. So that is area under peak that should go as per the hydrogen number. So 3 proton, it is 3 times, 2 protons 2, and for solitary hydrogen it is 1. So 1:2, 2:3, that is the ratio of proton, and ratio of proton is also going along with the area under peak. Now coming to the third parameter, that is coupling. Like why coupling appears or why coupling take place in NMR spectroscopy, especially in proton NMR, even that is applicable in carbon 13 NMR also. So coupling, spin lattice, the excited nuclei will lose energy by two ways. One is spin relaxation, second is spin lattice relaxation. Spin relaxation means the spin is exchanged between the neighboring non-equivalent protons, and for spin lattice it is the excess energy is given to the surrounding, the solvent in which you are dissolving your compound. Normally the deuterated solvents are used for this purpose, so that the solvent protons will not interfere in the protons which are part of the molecule under investigation. And spin lattice relaxation is there, but we are interested in spin relaxation, because if the neighboring protons are there, let us talk about this group. So this will show quartet, this will show triplet. Multiplicity is given by n plus 1. In this case n is 2 plus 1, like here it is 3 plus 1. When we talk about CH2, methyls are the neighboring proton. When we talk about methyl, CH2 is the neighboring proton. Accordingly, multiplicity is counted. So this will be triplet. So triplet will be 1:3:1. Now this 1:3:1 1:, Pascal's triangle we have to use for this purpose. So triplet 1:2, 2:1, quartet 1:3:3:1, 1 3 3 1. Okay. So this is the delta value here, this is the delta value. Delta value is same, that is not a problem. Okay. Now how this is coming? Now this is coming from Pascal's triangle. For singlet it is 1, for doublet 1:2, doublet, triplet, quartet, quintet 1:3:3:1, 1:1, 1:2:1, 1:4:6:4:1, So this is that Pascal's triangle. Okay. So for singlet it will be only 1, for doublet it will be like this, for triplet it will be, for quartet it will be 1, and so on. So singlet, doublet, triplet, quartet, and so on, and this difference is coupling constant J. Okay. Now why they show singlet like this 1:2:1? So methyl signal is influenced by methylene protons. So methylene protons, there will be 3 possibilities. One is to 2:1. Now this is spin state of CH2. When it is coming to CH3, it is first of all the downward, this is stable most, then 2 down, 1 up, then 2 up, 1 down, okay. 1:3:3:1. These are methyl proton. So field experienced by methyl will be this, the spin state, and for methylene it will be this. So this is how triplet quartet appears as 1:3:3:1 and 1:2:1. Okay. Now before going to the numericals, let us see some basics, because basics are required more. I will just tell you the sets of proton. We have seen some example sets of protons. I am going to put some different examples here. Hexamethyl benzene, so all these methyls are going to be chemically equivalent, so they are going to give singlet because there is one set of proton. Another example, mestilene 1,3,5 trimethyl benzene. There are 2 sets, this is one and this is another. They are also chemically equivalent, so 2 sets of proton. So you have to identify whether the protons are chemically equivalent or not. If yes, then how many protons are equivalent, and so on. Then neighboring proton, the coupling and all will be aliphatic compounds. You have to understand the coupling extensively, aliphatic as well as olefinic proton. In aromatic proton, the coupling constant is very much fixed. Ortho coupling is 6 to 8, meta is 1 to 2, and para is 0. So it will be easy for one to understand the aromatic protons part. The other protons you will come to know once we solve the examples, the queries. would be there, because this is new thing, and we need to cover so many things. Understanding concept is one part, application of this concept to solve the numericals, that is another part. So solving numerical would help you extensively, and probably from next lecture we'll solve the numericals which are very easy to understand, and then stepwise we'll go to the other things also. I'll talk about the coupling constant in detail for olefinic proton, vicinal geminal couplings, the aromatic coupling, and so on. The factors influencing coupling constant also we'll see. So there are so many things to do, but in one lecture we can't do so many things. So naturally in next lecture we'll continue from here. Okay, thank you.